Hey there, and welcome back! In this video, we'll explore the final pieces that will polish your skills and help you become an expert in Django queries. We have covered a lot already in previous videos, but today is about filling in the gaps, those techniques and insights that take your understanding to the next level. This isn't just about writing queries, it's about refining your ability to analyze, debug and optimize them. Let's get started. The first thing we'll discover here is the power of Django lookups, which feels like a missing puzzle in this guide. Field lookups are one of the most simple and powerful features of Django's ORM, and they allow us to filter and query data in all sorts of ways. Let's start simple with some basic field lookups. The first one I want to show you is exact. This lookup helps you find records where the value exactly matches what you are searching for. For example, imagine we are searching for a book with the title Django for Beginners. This would return all books where the title is exactly Django for Beginners. Pretty straightforward, right? It's almost the same as a regular lookup without any keywords. Just type in an equal sign after a field name. But what if you don't care about the case sensitivity? In such cases you can use iExact, which performs a case-insensitive match. This logic is applied in many other lookups as well. For example, the following query will find the book regardless of its capitalization. In Django, you can filter records based on whether a text field starts or ends with a particular substring, using starts with, ends with, and I starts with, I ends with. Let's see a couple of examples. This filter records where a field starts with a specific string and will return books whose titles start with Django. Next, filters record where a field ends with a specific string and return books whose titles end with book. And of course, they come with their case-insensitive alternatives. You can use them by adding I at the beginning. Next up, we have contains, which is useful when you are looking for something that contains the given string. Let's say we want to find all books that have Django somewhere in the title. And of course, if you are using this and you don't care about case, there's iContains for you. Another extremely useful field lookup is in, which allows you to filter for multiple values at once. It's like saying, I want to find records where the field value is in this list. For example, if you want to find books with certain IDs, say 1, 2, and 3, we can use in like this. Now, let's take a look at comparison lookup. These are for situations where you want to compare field values with certain constants like numbers or dates. For example, let's say you want to find all books that costs more than 30. We can use greater than to achieve this. And we can apply same approach using greater than equal, which will include books priced exactly at 30. Less than and less than equal. Okay, let's talk about null values next. Maybe you have a book where the publication date is unknown, unset. You can check for this with the isNull lookup. This will return all books where the publication date is null. Django also let us do date-time based lookups. For example, if we wanted to get all books published in 2014, we can use the year lookup like this. Date and time lookups support searching by year, month, day, week, weekday, hour, minute, second, which can also be applied in the same way. Next one, if you need to filter data between a range of values. Range is your friend. For example, let's say we want to find books that have price between 100 and 500. We'll use range for it and see that query correctly executed. Another inline is regex lookup, which allows you to filter based on a regular expression pattern. It's like using more advanced string matching method to find records that fit a specific pattern. This would return books whose titles start with Django, using regular expression syntax. Case-insensitive match, we should add I on start. And another cool thing Django lets you do is query related models. You can use the double underscore syntax to filter on the field from related models. For example, let's say we want to get all authors who written a book with price more than 30. Here we are using book double underscore price to look up the price field on the related book model. It's super convenient for querying across relationships without having manually join tables. In next section, let's dive into n+1 query issues, which can severely impact your performance. This happens when your code generates multiple database queries for related objects, leading to unnecessary load. Many monitoring platforms, like Sentry, can identify this issue in your code, as well as Django Debugger, which we'll cover later. For example, consider this code. Here we run one query to get all the books, but then another query for each book's author, leading to n+1 queries. Always try to avoid it by joining the related models to your query using select or prefetch related methods. Now let's discover group by technique. It's a powerful technique for aggregating data like counting items, summing values, finding averages. In raw SQL you would write something like this. In Django ORM we can achieve this using values and annotate. Here's an example. In this example, values author groups the books by the author, and annotate book count, which equals count ID, adds a new field book count, which counts the number of books for each author. Let's move on to another powerful optimization tool, indexes. If you are working with large datasets, indexing is one of the most effective ways to speed up your queries. An index allows the database to quickly locate the data it needs, without having to scan every row in the table. It's like having a well-organized library system that lets you find the books you need without looking at every single book on the shelf. Worth to mention that in Django, certain fields are indexed by default, like foreign key, one-to-one fields, and fields where you specified unique equals true. But you can also manually create indexes for fields that are frequently queried or used in filters. Here's how you can define custom indexes in Django using index class from Django models. But also remember that indexes can greatly improve read performance. But in the meantime, they come with a trade-off. Adding an index can slow down write operations, like inserts or updates, because the index needs to be updated as well. So always consider whether an index is necessary based on your query patterns. As we are near to the end of this video, it's important to emphasize how to analyze and monitor query performance in your Django project. Knowing how your query are performing and identifying bottlenecks is crucial to optimizing your application and ensuring that it scales effectively. In this section we'll dive into two powerful tools for query performance analytics, Django Silk and Django Debug Toolbar. We'll look at how to install and use both tools, compare their features and discuss the pros and cons of each. Starting with Django Debug Toolbar. It's a lightweight and real-time tool that helps you monitor the queries being executed on your site. It's a great choice for quickly identifying problems like n+1 queries or inefficient SQL queries. Let's see how to install it. From your terminal, install new package using pip install Django Debug Toolbar. Then add Debug Toolbar to your Django installed apps and middlewares. After that, include Django Debug Toolbar URLs to your main URL patterns. Now, when you load any page on your application, you will see a debug toolbar at the top of the screen. This toolbar gives you a snapshot of SQL queries run for each request, how long each query took, the number of queries executed. And pros from this approach is you get a real-time performance monitoring and able to see the queries on each request instantly. Detailing query info which shows time taken for each query, total queries and the ability to filter queries. And immediate feedback to easily spot inefficient queries during development. And cons. The toolbar adds some overhead to your page load times, especially on complex pages. If your application makes a lot of queries, it can become overwhelming. On the other hand, Django Silk. It's a tool that's great for profiling and monitoring SQL queries. It goes beyond the debug toolbar by giving you detailed reports and allowing you to track your queries over time. The way to install it is similar to Django debug toolbar. First, install Django Silk using pip command. Pip install Django Silk. Then add it to your installed apps and middlewares. Now run migrations to set up the necessary database tables with python -py migrate silk and collect static to support their UI. Now you need to add silk URLs to your base URL spy, and then you can access the silk profiling interface at this endpoint. This provides a detailed view of the queries executed, the time taken for each query, detailed profiling of request performance, including SQL queries, response time, etc. And it also provides data export options for deeper analysis. Pros of this: you get more detailed information than with the debug toolbar. Historical data. It tracks query performance over time, which is useful for performance tuning and regression testing. It's customizable. It allows exporting data and integrating with other profiling tools. And also request profiling. You can analyze not just SQL queries, but overall request performance. And cons. Needs some additional setup and migrations. Silk can add more overhead, especially with detailed profiling, so it's best used during development rather than production. While it's packed with data, it can be overwhelming to navigate if you don't filter and focus on specific queries. So both tools have their strengths. You can start with Django debug toolbar for real-time insights and switch to Django Silk for more in-depth long-term profiling when needed. To access detailed instructions guide, please check the docs. That's a wrap on mastering Django queries and performance. We have covered tools, tips and techniques to help you optimize and debug like a pro. If this was helpful, make sure to like, subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching and happy coding!